Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I gotta tell you, I didn't really know about this clip that's out there. I had no idea, none, that this was put out 30 plus years ago. 30 plus years ago. Now, a lot of you guys who do follow me on Twitter also follow a guy named Big Fish or Trey Billion. I gotta tell you, he posted this, and this is an expose of when journalism was journalism, when high-profile people like Diane Sawyer, and listen, it wasn't perfect in the 80s by any means, but this is now 31 years old, 1988. Diane Sawyer grilling Claude Adid, who is in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, and we have an expose where they actually talk about Jean-Luc Brunel as well. Now, I was going to cut this up and, do my thing where I was just going to go bits and pieces. But this is, with commercials, would have been a 20-plus minute piece. And I just have so much to say about not only the fact that the media is failing on so many levels right now to do what this did, okay? And I'm so taken aback by it. I think we're going to play the whole thing. It's going to be a long broadcast. But again, I want people to understand. And shout out to Big Fish on Twitter. Please follow him if you want to see the whole thing without me blabbering my mouth. Let's see. Let's find it over here really quick, and then we'll get to it. But my goodness, the fact this is out in the public realm, that nothing was done for 30 plus years. Let me repeat that. 30 plus years. Okay? Why is it? Oh, man. I'm sorry, guys. I should have tested this out before. Unfortunately, I was having some really weird computer issues. So, all right. Well, there it is right there. There's Big Fish right here. So this is the video we're going to watch. And I guess, oh, man, just all sorts of issues here. We're just going to go for it.
Every week, dozens of young American girls walk off airplanes in Paris and Milan, certain that their faces will be the next to beam from the covers of the fashion magazines. They are girls as young as 15 and 16, recruited by talent scouts or sent by their local modeling agencies, because Europe has more fashion houses and magazines, and it's easier to get that first big break there than in New York.
Or is it designed for those 15 and 16-year-old girls? So again, 1988, we're going to talk about that age range, 15, 16, 17, and people going on camera making huge allegations of this same network. And not only taking advantage of them sexually, first they make them feel helpless by taking advantage of them financially. But we'll get to all that.
The girls are told that they'll have a modeling agency in Europe, which will get them work and be their home away from home. They are girls like Sherry Bolts from Pompano Beach, Florida, a cheerleader who dropped out of high school and used her savings to buy a plane ticket to Europe when she was just 17.
So let's just stop right there. Dropped out of high school, saved up her money, and went to Europe. So this is a girl who doesn't even have a high school education going to Europe.
Local modeling agency helped arrange it and still gets a percentage of her European income. And girls like Megan Douglas, who was a switchboard operator in Washington, D.C., when her photograph won her a spot in a modeling contest. And girls like Kimberly Barker of Nampa, Idaho, whose parents took out a loan to get the money to send her to Europe and to give her a shot at the big time.
All these dreams. Now, again, many of us are willing to go very, very far to try to achieve those dreams. They talk about the statistics then of 1 in 1,000 being able to make a living. Then it was like $100,000 a year, so maybe that'd be about $1 million a year. Certainly not being a mega superstar model, just making a living at this.
So the odds are about 1,000 to 1 that a girl will end up a successful model. A model like Debbie Haggerty, who makes about $150,000 a year, and says the top models may do all right, but it's rough for all the others trying to break through.
nasty business, and I don't think these parents have any idea what they're sending their girls into.
What the parents are told by those local modeling agencies and talent scouts is that their daughters have been signed up with European modeling agencies which will take care of everything and become the girls' family abroad.
Their family. Their family. And how young are these girls?
How many girls are on auction for this?
So it's something of a shock when the girls discover that a lot of those agencies routinely take as much as 3/4 of the girls' salary. For instance, charging fees on the photographs the girls need for promotion.
So let's stop. I mean, by now, most people know the scam of we're going to do your headshots, your makeup. Here they talk about their rent. And really what they're doing is they're piling these girls in. And then they're not paying into the benefits programs that they're also stealing from them. So financially, these girls, think of it this way. You got a bunch of 15, 16, and 17-year-old girls being shipped off to Europe. They've spent all their money or their parents have taken out loans. They're put into houses with 3 or 4 other girls. And then it's basically, here's the pimp game. Only you really can't pimp out kids. It's called child prostitution and molestation.
And ostensibly deducting taxes and Social Security, even though most of the girls are working illegally without work permits.
We have to check for that.
It's real confusing.
Sylvain Charlotte is president of a fledgling models union in Paris. She's helping some of the girls bring lawsuits against the agencies to learn just where all that money goes.
What happens if a girl goes to the agency and says, wait a minute, how much did they never want to explain it?
Why would they? They don't have to explain it. Your chances of making it are 1 in 1,000. They're signing these girls up daily. Do you get it? It's the meat grinder. That's how they've been able to get away with this for so long.
Just say, okay, baby, we have a lot of experience and we have to pay the tax department and we have to pay a lot of things, so don't try to understand.
So do the agencies really pay Social Security on an illegal way?
We don't even know exactly if they pay all the amounts. I'm sure they don't pay for that.
The modeling agencies also own apartments all around Paris, which...
So let me say this. They already own the apartments. They're not paying into the Social Security. So aside from not paying them what they're worth and taking advantage of them that way, later on, they'll be in debt. And they'll be further entrenched into the system where they have to rely on like that big payday or perhaps be compromised in another way.
They rent out to the new girls who come to town. Several girls to an apartment, and each girl paying a lot of rent.
I lived in an apartment that was by no means nice. There was 4 girls living there at the time. We did have our own rooms, but the rooms were like the size of boxes.
Courtney Powell is from Stoneboro, Pennsylvania.
And how much was the rent?
$900 a month.
And you probably $900 a month?
So again, in 1988, they were charging girls $3,600 a month for dorm-style apartments. Again, do you see how this works? You've already been out there. This is your dream. You've got to do what you're told. You see other girls. There's reinforcement everywhere. There's competition everywhere.
$900 a month. That was when the franc was low, and we were each paying that.
Eileen Ford runs the Ford Modeling Agency in New York, one of the largest agencies in the world. She's known for the way she protects her girls.
And let's stop. I think that's awfully fair of them to say. Protects her girls. As you'll see here, although they try to make her come off as kind of nice in the beginning, there's no way that she had the level of naivety of what was going on, especially in regards to Jean-Luc Brunel, which will come up later in this piece.
She uses the European agencies to book work for her girls abroad. So a contract with her can have a profound effect on a European agency's business.
So again, she's, neck deep in sending these girls to Europe. She's not as naive as she's going to come across.
We met her at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, where she was looking for new faces. We asked her about the girls' complaints that their rent is way overpriced.
I've heard that. And I know that it's true.
Oh, it's true.
It is true that they're overcharged for these apartments. Yeah, they're overcharged in New York, too.
They're overcharged in New York too. Again, trying to justify it. But remember, they want them at the epicenter of these things. If anybody's being honest with you, right? They try to put you out on the outskirts. They put you on a budget. You know, when you're moved to a legitimate job, sometimes they'll work that into the fee, right? Oh, here's some moving costs. Here's the areas that you might want to look for your salary range, etc.
By the agency? Sure.
The girls say not only do a lot of agencies take financial advantage of them, sometimes they're taken advantage of in other ways too.
Oh, not just financial, huh? So again, you get them into a system of reinforcement and debt while still trying to achieve their dreams in a cutthroat environment. And here comes the sex.
Oh my God.
This is an agency owner named Claude Haddad. For years, his Paris agency Mademoiselle Prestige welcomed teenage American girls.
For years! Teenage American girls. Yes, he was in Epstein's Black Book. Yes, he was in this circle of vipers.
Like other agency heads, Haddad offered many of the new girls help with the transition, temporary housing, a room in his apartment.
My buddy, huh?
A room in his apartment. Oh.
Do you sometimes feel you've awakened in a candy store?
Not in a flower shop.
And by the way, props to Diane Sawyer. Again, I'm not praising the woman. She has propagated a lot of nonsense over the years. But did you just see that look? Did you just see that look? Well, get ready. Because I got to tell you, I like what she does here. I like what she does here. We have not seen journalism like this in a legitimate fashion for some time, in my opinion.
I'm a gardener. They're not candy, they are flowers.
And
I smell them, that's it.
I smell them. That's it. Look at this creepy bastard.
You smell the perfume.
And when they're staying in your apartment,
Yes.
you don't feel a temptation to
Absolutely
walk
not.
in on them?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I didn't set 15-year-old girls up in my apartment and then basically force myself upon them. That never happened.
Absolutely not. Not at all. Not at all.
But Lorraine was 16 when Claude Haddad discovered her in a Paris street and brought her to his agency and to his house.
He asked me to come to his room, and I wouldn't go to his room.
So again, we have a 16-year-old girl here saying, no, I'm not going to go to your room.
So he had decided to get into bed with me in my room.
Oh, I'm so glad that you gave me a place to stay, and now I'm just going to come into your bed. 16-year-old girl.
And just trying to kiss you, trying to block you, in a corner or against a wall or anything. And you would just keep talking and trying to squiggle out of it,
But I'm sure this is like an isolated incident, right? There's no way that this could be going on a regular basis. That guy didn't put off the creep vibes.
How many of the girls who came in told you that he had tried this sort of thing with them?
All the girls I lived with had all except one.
How many teenage models, Mr. Haddad, have you slept with?
Now let's stop. How many teenage models have you slept with? Look at his eye cocked. Look at him absorbing the question, trying to think about how he's going to answer this. Oh, you see him looking off to the side? That looks like, somebody has nothing to hide.
What do you mean by teenage?
The young girls, 16 to 19.
16, almost never.
16. Almost never. Let's repeat that. That's not never. Almost never. What's almost never to a guy like this? To a sexual predator? To somebody who runs a model agency that gets teenage girls to come overseas and live in his apartment? What's almost never? Please.
Let me read you some letters.
Yeah.
These are letters.
I have a lot of letters too.
He walked in on me while I was in the bath, while I was changing in the room,
and even did things like jumping in the bed with me while I was trying to sleep. Is it true? I'm asking.
No, most of this, it's always, when people say something, it's always a little truth.
So when people say something, it's always a little truth. There's no real denial here of, inappropriately walking in on underage teenage girls. There's a little bit of truth there, and I almost never sleep with girls that are 16 years old.
What's the little truth in this?
Yes, very little truth.
What do you mean little truth? What is the little
That I hug them, that I try to flirt with them, but never more. They can say what they want.
Here's some of the words they used. Sexually disturbed. Pervert. You had to sleep with him to work.
Sexually disturbed. Pervert. You had to sleep with him to work. I mean, my goodness. my God. What can you say to things like this, guys, when it's out in the open like that, right? When it's so in your face, and we're going to come back to this clip, that you're being confronted on national television, right? You're being confronted on national TV, and you can't deny it. You're talking about the little truths that are involved, right? Why was this guy not investigated then and put in jail? Why was he able to network with guys like Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel? All this information was out there in the public arena. Can somebody please explain that to me? Let's go back. And again, props to Diane Sawyer.
He almost raped me.
I cannot. What do you say? How many almost raped me? You almost raped me. But why?
Quoting.
Always. Yeah, listen, Diane, listen, hear me out. Whenever you hear rape and me, Claude, it's almost rape. It's almost rapey. You may have heard that in the past, but I assure you it's not like rape. It's almost rapey. I mean, this is like, again, 31 years ago. Everybody knew who did anything.
But in this case, it was a 15-year-old girl.
Can I echo?
Oh, 15.
I was
15 years old?
I don't remember. Maybe it's possible. I don't know.
Then Claude Haddad went on
So
to...
let's stop there. Let's dive deep into what that admission is. Claude Hadid, large-scale modeling agency, right, says almost never does he sleep with 16-year-old girls. Now he says when rape is brought up, it's almost rape. But now it's with a 15-year-old girl, and he says, well, that's possible. So, I mean, how often are you sleeping with 13, 14, and 12-year-olds? Is that almost never too? Or is that just, I mean, you'd have to get back to me on that. Let's continue on.
say, what happens with the girls is not really his fault.
When a French girl starts to play with her body, she knows that she can have problems. She can start to have problems with men.
So, not only is he using the play, basically they deserve it, the way they dress and act card, but he's doing it with girls that are barely past puberty.
And in America, I found out that when a girl does that, it's just, she doesn't even mean it, it's a game, but she's not thinking of what she's doing. It took me a long time to realize this.
Do you work with Claude Dad?
No, sir. No more.
Wouldn't send your girls to him.
No, ma'am. He knows why.
Why?
Because I don't think he behaved properly with some of them. I know he didn't.
What did he do?
Let me stop you there. So this is a woman that says that she's not sending her girls to the guy we just saw. Look at her face. What did he do? What did he do to those girls? This woman knows 100% what he did to those girls. 100%. And remember, they played her up as she's known for protecting her girls. Well, how well in the past did she protect them from other vipers like this guy? And we're going to get to Jean-Luc Brunel. But on camera, she won't even say. She knows. Remember, she says she knows he's done some of this stuff.
And I know what he did. I have letters from girls telling me what he did. To me, it's just so reprehensible. Just so appalling that some old sleazebag would come along and touch a girl.
But one man Eileen Ford does associate with in Paris is this man, the head of Karen Models, one of the largest and most prestigious
Jean-Luc, there he is. There's the guy.
agencies in the country. His name is Jean-Luc Brunel. The Grove tells us Brunel is very careful about the models who are under the protection of Eileen Ford. But Courtney and Sherry, who are not Ford models, told us about the dinners he invites his other girls to attend.
So now they're saying basically, hands off, Jean-Luc doesn't go after those girls. It's other ones. And I'm sorry about the yelling, guys. I see some comments in there while I'm doing it. It's hard for me not to get emotional when I watch this stuff. And it's been out there in the public arena for a very long time.
With his male friends.
It's a me, Marcus. You are there for the purpose of somebody wanting to take you home to bed. He is acting as a matchmaker. He's got the agency. He's got the girls. His friends say, oh, Jean-Luc, I'd like to meet some girls, or we're having a party tonight. Can you bring some girls?
And what happens if you say no?
You don't work.
You've actually known, be very careful on this, you actually have known that he has made someone pay a professional penalty for saying no.
I know. I paid a penalty for saying no. I was personally proposed to by himself, Jean-Luc, and I said, no way. I laughed in his face, and I had no more appointments, and I never worked.
What about the fact that people say when you come over here, you've come over knowing what you're getting into? I mean, everyone knows.
How can you know what you're getting into? How can you know what you're getting into? This is like a foreign country, you know? I mean, I'm from Florida, little city, Pompano Beach, you know? I mean, come on. How am I going to know what goes on in Paris, you know, or Milan? I mean, I don't even speak the language. I don't know anyone, you know? I mean...
Think about that. Again, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone. And that's what I'm talking about. You isolate these girls. You put them in competition against one another. You put them in debt. They're barely teenagers in many of these cases. Claude Hadid put some of them in his apartment with him. And then you bring them to parties to give them to your buddies. And if you don't think that's where the blackmail happens, that's where the backdoor shenanigans happen, that's where the underground favors happen, that's where some of the payments happen, you'd be crazy.
I'm in a new environment, you know? I don't know anyone. I have to trust the people that I come over here with. I mean, I'm naive, I'm young.
A lot of these bigwigs at the agencies literally have a scale where in this hand they have your career, and in this hand they have what they want. And your career can go up if they get what they want. If they don't get it, your career goes down.
Many girls ever come to you and tell you that Jean-Luc invites them to parties where he has male friends, and it's clear what the arrangement is when you get there.
No.
And that you were expected to be the friend of his male friends.
I don't believe that. I mean, I believe they said it.
But you don't believe it's true?
I find it hard to believe it's true. We've been told that it is. Oh, I'm sure you have. You wouldn't be asking me if you weren't told that was true. But I like to think that our girls are not treated that way. And I like to think that were that true, I would know it because I've broken off more than one association here in my life.
Sorry, I can't trust her, especially with what comes up in a minute.
And you'd break it off
Yes, I would. And then I would.
At discotheques like the Bandouche and the Palace, models are admitted free. When we filmed at the Bandouche, Jean-Luc Brunel was there.
Oh, there's Jean-Luc. Oh, what a good guy.
A number of models told us he has used cocaine heavily.
Now, I'm not worried about the cocaine use other than the fact that you're plying young girls with cocaine. Oh! And then don't worry, it'll go beyond cocaine to drugging women. And there's going to be a couple people who, well, we'll let them talk.
And offered it to the girls, along with help in their careers. Many of the girls who spoke with us said openly that they had been regular cocaine users. But some warned that there were things that went beyond cocaine. This one asked to be photographed in shadow.
So you first met Jean-Luc Brunel in a nightclub when he offered you drugs, cocaine. And Jean-Luc, did he use drugs?
Oh, yes.
You say, oh, yes, a lot?
Well, that's why I used to like to see him, because he always gives me a little vial of cocaine and say, you know, go have a good time in the bathroom. That was more or less, he did that with all the girls. Everyone else.
This girl told us a few years ago she went to Jean-Luc's house with a few of his friends. She said a powerful hallucinogenic drug was slipped into her drink, and that Jean-Luc kept urging her to go in and take a bath.
And let's not forget, when those documents were unsealed, we had a girl who was from Sweden, I believe she was like 12 or 13, who refused to do something on that island, and all of a sudden she woke up without her passport, which she said was taken away somewhere else. So, you know, this drugging, it probably went on for decades.
I started hallucinating, and at first, you know, I was very confusing. It's very scary, because if you don't know that you've been drugged and all of a sudden you start hallucinating, that's very scary.
She said she managed to get out of the house, but stayed disoriented for 24 hours. But this ex-model says several years ago she went to Jean-Luc's house and didn't get away. She asked to have her voice and face disguised.
He gave you a drink?
Yes.
You drank it, and then what?
I blacked out. I don't remember anything after that.
The next thing you remember
was being in this man's bed.
Who was he?
I have to say the name. It was Jean-Luc from Karen's modeling agency.
Again, 1988. Are we watching anything on this level right now about the associates of Jeffrey Epstein? Especially the two people we're talking about here? Jean-Luc Brunel, nobody seems to know where he is. He's been reported now in South America, but officials haven't brought him in. This stems far beyond him. What's going on?
You were raped.
Yes, I do know that.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm positive. I know.
You think everybody knows this about Jean-Luc Brunel?
Oh, yes. A lot of people know that. A lot of people.
They continue to deal with him.
Everyone continues to do it. I don't know why.
We played a tape of the second girl's story of drugs and rape to Eileen Ford.
I don't know what to tell you. That's horrible. And this is the first time you've ever heard one of these stories? Absolutely. Because we have talked to 5 other girls who say that they have had drugs put in their drinks by Jean-Luc or Jean-Luc's friends. I hope you're wrong. And for his sake, I hope you're wrong.
Eileen Ford says she's sure Jean-Luc has used drugs, and she even warned him about it.
I have certainly asked him never to have drugs around in front of my mouth. That's all you've ever said to him? Well, that's a pretty fair warning.
I'm going to stop it there. That's about the end of the clip. Do you believe this woman? I do not. Nick Waite says, tale as old as time. If they got away with it 30 years ago when it was on one of the top 10 TV channels, what are the chances they will be held accountable now? Exactly, with the complete obfuscation of facts and reality. Great point. It's really upsetting. Guys, I am a documentary filmmaker, and I'm on the Twitter, too. You can see my stuff right here. Man, I have to do like a whole revamp of everything. I apologize. It wasn't as smooth broadcasting. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, and Shade the Motion Picture, all available right here in the documentaries playlist section. 3 to 7 videos a day. Only did 2 yesterday, and I know this is the first one, but I'm going to try to get at least another 2 out. These tech difficulties, man, they put me behind, and I'm doing this with your help. We just started the new GoFundMe, so $5, $10, $15, anything really means the world to me, and I really do appreciate it. I love you guys. I hope that you spread this information out there, and I will see you on the flip side.